So first and foremost, I want to give a hearty congratulations out to John Banister, his wife, their family. They just welcomed into their world a few weeks ago their beautiful daughter, Zoe. John's actually the guest on this episode of Not Your Mother's Podcast. We filmed a few with him before. This is actually the very first episode that we filmed. We have a lot of fun banter. I watched this back. I laughed a lot on this episode. So if my laugh annoys you, don't watch this episode. But we had a lot of fun. And of course, throughout the entire episode, we enjoyed the episode, but we did get into some very, very intense subjects when it comes to the will of God, serving an angry God, being fearful of God, and what happens in a romantic relationship before marriage, after marriage, how that's defined by the IFB, what they're okay with and what they're not. So if these are subjects that interest you or intrigue you, you will definitely miss out if you don't at least check out the last half of this episode of Not Your Mother's Podcast. As always, thanks for your support. Look forward to your feedback and enjoy this episode of Not Your Mother's Podcast with my good friend, John Banister. My name's Stuart. This is my great friend, John, and this is the Not Your Mother's Podcast. Cheers. Now, as you may notice, we have a new angle and have a new little kind of setup here. I don't know in what order all these podcasts are going to come out, but I do have a few mixed up in our new location. I don't think I have any left from the previous location. No, I do. I have a couple left with John Keister. Nice. But I don't know. This may come out before or after those. I don't know. But I just want to let you guys know this is the new location. We're playing out some different scenarios. I did a few with my friend Becca, sitting on the couch. This, again, maybe before or after those, so I probably shouldn't be saying that, but fuck it.
It's not your mother's.
It's not your mother's fucking podcast. So I'm super excited to have John with me. I've known John since 2005.
2005, yeah.
2005, and now it's 2018, and that's 13 years.
13 years.
Holy shit.
Yeah, dude, don't talk about that. I'm like, fuck, I'm still 25. You know what I'm saying? Like, once you hit 20, you're like, I'm just always 20.
Yeah, I'm always 20.
And then, like, my wife's like 30. Now I just forget my birthday. Like, I just had my birthday a couple days ago.
I don't want to think about it.
And she's just like, I'm like, babe, what, how old am I? She had like 33 candles. I'm like, I'm not 33.
Wait, hang on.
She gave me one to grow on. I don't even know what that shit means, you know?
Can't be good, though, can it?
No.
So one thing I need to mention to you guys about John, this is the second time this has ever happened. So what's fun on the podcast is, and I know you've seen a few episodes, thank you for that. Because it's so brand new, like almost every episode, there can be the first ever, or the only time, because it's so brand new. But this is the second time anyone has ever brought their own spirits to the podcast. So thank you for that, John. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome.
And so John brought some, it's delicious, by the way. And I'm not that drunk yet. I did have one glass prior, but I'm not that drunk. It's from High West. I'm just going to go off, okay, guys? So it is what it is.
Yeah, go Usually off, please. Get off for us.
It's Not Your Mother's Podcast. It's not... This is going to be a great episode. I'm really excited about this. If we can get this guy to laugh this much throughout the whole thing, you guys are going to love it. So this is... God, my neighbors are going to hate this. I'm super loud right now. Fuck it. So... I'm going to get through the name of this whiskey. High West Distillery. How do you say that? Bourye?
Bourye? I don't know.
B-O-U-R-Y-E. Boy,
yeah, sure.
Bourye. It's because anyway.
It's got like a jackrabbit on it?
That's a jackalope, isn't it? It's a fucking jackalope. Look at that. I never noticed that. All right, guys. Where's my camera? Check that out. How cool is that? It's a jackalope. Super cool. Okay, anyway. So... It's a jackalope, and it is a blend of straight whiskey. Oh, the batch is written on there?
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, no, for the good stuff, they write the batch, you know, like it's a collectible.
Huh. Well, I should collect it then.
Yeah, sure, save the bottle. I mean...
I will. Yeah. 46% alcohol by volume, and what's cool, what I think is cool, is it's bottled by High West Distillery in Park City, Utah. This guy actually lives in Utah, but correct me if I'm wrong, you've yet to have this whiskey.
Yes, I haven't had this one. High West, awesome stuff they produce. It's right in my backyard in Park City, which is ironic because it's like Mormonville. It's like taboo. Even though they made money off of it back in the day, and that's how they financed their church. But well, yeah, it's good stuff.
It's really good. It's a great taste, and I know
super smooth.
Yeah,
nice. Nice
I know I don't
whiskey.
usually go on and on about the whiskey because it's generally the same thing. I'm a big fan of Jameson Caskmates. I like all my honeys, like whether it's the super cheap Jim Beam or even the Tennessee honey from Jack Daniels. I like whiskey. I enjoy it. So clearly, it's not every podcast, but
Yeah.
anyways, thank you, John, for bringing that.
Yeah, no worries.
I'm gonna do one more thing here.
It's good stuff.
Oh man, that wasn't as loud as I thought it would be.
Ah,
We're
sorry.
gonna try it one more time. Nope, nothing. Okay. Anyway,
Maybe
I
like
feel really fancy when I open it. All right. So me and John met at the illustrious Hiles Anderson College.
the premiere.
Premier is that?
Premier.
That's what it is?
We were Highlander
Premier
men.
Iglesia.
Well, I
Bautista.
wasn't Highlander man. You might have been a
No,
Highlander.
fuck that.
I think I got a
I
Highlander shirt one time.
Oh, I
from,
definitely.
Like, yeah,
I have one that I still wear because it matches. Hang on, no judgment. The judging eyes. Show everyone, John. No, I have one that I still wear because it matches a Christmas sweater. I fucking love Christmas. It matches one of my Christmas sweaters. It's a perfect shade of blue.
Dude, mine was brown, and it just showed me I was shit. Like, I'm just like, oh, this place.
Why would you
Anyway,
make a brown shirt?
I don't know either, but it was like I was on the brown team. Like one year, because like, remember
Camp.
we like
Yeah,
did
the
this
camp.
Was it camp?
Yeah,
it was
they
like,
called it camp. It was basically what it was eventually everyone realized, oh, this isn't a year long or a school year long of youth conference. Fuck.
yeah.
And so then they're like,
that was
well,
disappointing.
How can we make the first week like youth conference? Well, we'll have camp week, so we'll trick you even more.
So your parents leave.
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
close the door.
Exactly. And then we got you.
Don't recruit
So-
them on the first day. Dude, oh man, my brain is
Bad.
going
I
around.
know it is. So the first time it is good whiskey.
Camp week. Let's yeah.
Well, camp week was, look, if you come from our background, and most of you do, and if you don't, get ready. But camp week was basically a recreation of what we did growing up. Did
Youth
you go
camp,
to camps
yeah,
growing
youth
up?
camp,
So
yeah.
youth camp, which is you eat a bunch of really shitty food, whether for competitions or just at the
Yeah.
chow hall, and then, excuse me, and then on top of that, you don't get any sleep, which you never did at Hiles Anderson anyways.
Yeah, you don't get sleep, but
you
it's supposed to be fun.
Yeah, but you're playing games like funky, stupid
Yeah.
games where most likely you get a concussion of some sort.
Yeah, I was gonna say ours
no,
was always brutal
ridiculous.
too. It
Yeah,
was like
brutal.
It was all like, oh yes, this guy broke his arm. And it was
Yeah, like that was
exciting.
a
It
badge
like,
of honor. Like,
whoa.
I'm 14. I didn't come here to break my arm. I paid
Yeah.
money. You pay money. You pay.
But
money
you're a
to
man.
go.
Yeah, tons of money
fucking
to
stupid.
go to camp.
Exactly.
Jump
So,
on the blob, right?
Yes,
And send somebody
yes.
to lunch.
Yeah.
That was actually pretty cool. I
that
have stories
was,
about the blob.
but anyways. No,
We
I'm
were
trying to
like-
remember. I remember. Do you remember where you went for camp as a
Camp
teen?
Shatek. I went to Camp Shatek.
I don't know where that is. Where is
It's
it?
in Wisconsin.
Oh, okay.
I only went 2 years. I wasn't cool enough to go all the time.
the
but
fuck, man.
I don't know.
I went
My family
to-
wasn't in churches that had camps.
Yeah, good for you.
Like we went to basketball camp and like.
But that's not. You're not gonna break your arm there, so it's not
I mean,
real.
we went to like Life Schools
little
camp.
little
No,
bitch
I'm
camp. That's what that
just-
is. No, I went to Mount Salem Revival Grounds, and that's
What?
like,
You went to
yeah,
the elite,
bro.
like,
That's like, yeah. See, he knows.
Oh,
That's like
my
the
goodness.
legit one. That's where people really
Oliver
get hurt.
Reza goes.
Oh
in,
my god,
like,
yeah.
goes
dude.
to town over
I actually
there.
listened to him preach a while back at chapel. I turned on one of the chapel services.
Really?
Rough, dude. Do you remember when? And I had Trenton on and asked him about this. Do you remember when layered T-shirts were a thing? Do you remember like a white T-shirt underneath?
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
this?
I used to wear them all the
Okay,
time. I was a
okay.
rebel, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah,
but
but I remember. Here was an ironic moment for me. I'm sitting in chapel, an evening chapel, I think, and Oliver Reza's preaching, and he brings that up like as a point in his sermon to preach against layered T-shirts.
Are
That's
you
ridiculous
serious?
enough.
Wow.
What's more ridiculous is the kid sitting in front of me is Ollie, also known as Oliver Areza Jr., and guess what Ollie is wearing?
He's got
A layered T-shirt. And I was like, bro, you can't even get your own son to do your shit. Like,
Oh my gosh.
you need to get that together.
Dude, I'm like having flashbacks
I
right now.
know
So
you
like,
are.
here's my upbringing, right?
Talk to me.
Can we go ahead? And,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well,
So
let's.
up-
Before we get to that, I'm sorry.
yeah, you go ahead.
Before we get to that, no, I do want to talk about that. That's our next kind of point to get into. But what I do want to talk about is just briefly when we first met. And I don't remember an instance like, "Hi, I'm John. Hi, I'm Stuart." I don't really remember
Never.
that. But I do recall that we were both working at Americal.
Yeah, we're working on
And that was
Health,
the.
Yeah.
How long did you work in the new building, the huge one, or did you work just in the one right by the mall there? Right. You get underneath the highway, you go right, and that's it. You're there. That's
Yeah, I
the
don't
one.
even remember a new one or old one, but yeah,
Okay,
you
then
go
you probably
down,
just
you
went to
come
the-
down Burr Street,
Yep.
you take a right, and then
And
like
you go
a few
down
blocks
30.
down, it was on the right.
Well, yeah, you go into the highway. It's a little ways because you
What's
go
the
into the
highway?
yeah, you go
That's
into
a
the
highway.
Yeah, no, you go under. There was like I don't know what it was. I
Okay,
don't know
yeah,
what it
that's
was.
fine. It was a small complex though.
Yeah, no, it was.
It was like a one-level building.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's where we worked.
Highway 30.
Yeah, Highway 30. You come down
Yeah,
Highway 30.
Highway
I don't
30.
know what you make a ride on, but it's the street right before the mall. I don't know.
Yeah, no, yeah, you're
so
right.
It's right there.
That's
yeah.
the one.
Mm-hmm. I feel like we weren't far from a McDonald's either because I ate a lot of
No,
McDonald's.
and I actually do remember the first day that we met.
Do you?
Yeah, I do. Because, dude, that's like my curse.
This guy's
Like,
got
I
a
have
memory.
crazy
I don't got shit going on
No,
up here.
so because I was talking to you about the prank call that I was doing the other day, right? And
was
so
that the first time we met?
yeah, because you were like sitting like I was on because they had the U shaped, little cubicles that were
Yeah.
in.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like on this side and you were over on this side. And dude, I was calling my buddy Justin Kramer. I don't know if you're ever gonna watch this, but he's gonna laugh his ass off if he
Definitely tag
does. But anyway, I was like prank calling him back in the day, and then you heard what I was doing, or somehow were enrolled
okay.
in it.
Okay.
Like I knew Gavin, I knew Robbie Nelson.
Okay.
Robbie Nelson was in my bus route. Hi,
Okay,
Robbie.
What's
Love you,
up,
Robbie.
Robbie?
Anyway, so Robbie somehow hooked me up a ride, I think, with Gavin one night.
Okay.
And of course, you were connected with Gavin.
For sure.
I didn't know anybody there.
Well,
'cause
we
I
were
came second
roommates. Like
semester.
I'd known Gavin before college, but we were roommates in college. So
Oh, okay, I
definitely
got
was
you.
riding
So
with
it
him,
really
yeah.
helped, yeah.
Yeah.
So I rode with him like a couple of times. That's how I knew Gavin. But anyway, so I was doing this whole prank call thing with my buddy Justin Kramer. Ended up getting the police called on me. Long story short, you were laughing your ass off.
Like I am now.
And that's how you got involved. And that's how
awesome.
we met.
That's terrific.
And then, of course, I learned of the Anchorman and then all that stuff
Oh
unraveled.
my
And I used
God.
to teach you about the Anchorman.
Dude,
So that's where it all
I
started.
forgot.
Yeah, so that's where it all happened.
Did I have a CD?
It blossomed.
Did I have the CD?
I think you did. I think that's why I asked. I was like, wait, what's this? Like, Stuart and the Anchorman. I think I even pissed you off one time.
I'm
'cause I
sure
was
you
like-
did.
I was like,
I was super self-conscious about that shit. All right, so
I
we have
didn't
to.
know.
This. Okay, we have to get into this because this is my podcast, and so you guys have to know this terrible thing about my history.
we
So
should play it.
Oh fuck no! There's a reason.
Dude, I'm
there are
sorry.
none of- No, don't be. This is. Hang on, I got several stories about this. So the.
Pre-tour?
Pre-tour, yeah.
This
Yeah, as a baby.
This was gospel uncut version.
Dude, I have completely blocked this from my memory. This is fucking amazing. So I was the lead singer, and then you're gonna be all right.
I'm reliving the moment.
I'm
All right,
remembering
I'm
now.
calm now.
I'm remembering now being very much pissed at you.
You were so angry. I think you
Super
hated my
pissed.
guts. You probably went and told Gavin. You're
I'm
like,
sure
I don't
I
like
did.
that guy.
Don't
guy,
let him
John
with us
Banister."
ever again. He's an asshole.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have said asshole as a freshman, but
yeah. I know. Holy years.
super holy.
Yeah.
So when I was, I can't even. So when I was going to church in Missouri, when I was going to church in Missouri, my dad was the school principal, so I ended up in his office a lot.
Nice.
And yeah, and
Pastor's kid.
yeah, we're the worst. We're the worst. I was just talking to someone today, and they were like, I said something to her like, PKs are the worst, and she was like, wait, aren't you a PK? Yeah, how do you think I fucking know we're the worst? I'm one.
Every
Anyways.
pastor says that it's okay because there's lots of pressure on you guys. We put so much pressure on you to live by the same rules I have to, motherfucker.
That's a great point. It's the same fucking rules.
But my parents make me follow
Right,
them.
you're right. Yeah, my parents were like,
Because
yeah,
God's
fuck
gonna
it.
like strike me down with
Yeah,
lightning
well, you're
bolt,
fucked.
but
You're not a
whatever.
pastor's kid.
Fuck.
You don't have special inclusion. You don't have the members only jacket, dude. So, okay, so I was a senior in high school. We started a men's quartet. It was me, the lead singer. John Harden was the bass. Dave Parshall was the tenor. Great tenor voice, by the way. And then Sean Leggins was the baritone. And we would sing like some inspiration songs and shit like that. And we I decided that was all me. The title of the group was me. That was my title.
Really?
Yes.
That's why you were so sensitive.
That's why I was super pissed about it.
Oh, dude,
So
you're
it's-
such an anchor right there. You're like anchor man.
I'm the anchor man. Come see how
You was
good
the
I look.
anchor man of anchor.
I was that. Hey, hang on. I was the anchor man before it was cool.
Yeah, you were like, dude.
Totally.
You got robbed. You can sue.
Fucking
Will
Ron
Ferrell?
Burgundy.
Like, what the hell?
This guy. So we recorded a CD in the basement of the church, of course.
Yeah, of
and
course.
you can actually hear the fluorescent lights in the recording.
Like
Zzz,
buzz?
yeah. Like, I told him during the recording, I told John, I was like, John, because he worked really hard to make it happen. I got to give him that. Like,
especially on the label, it was like printed off of the
Fuck up. He worked hard on that, damn it. No, we.
All
no,
right,
he
no,
rented,
I get
he
it.
rented,
Like,
fuck
I get
you. Still to this day, asshole. So.
By the way, I have no personality for those of you that
nothing.
No sarcasm.
Zero wit.
Anyway, all right.
So we haven't even had that much to drink yet.
No.
So,
just getting
but
started.
John did, like, he rented all the equipment and everything. Is all I'm trying to say. So we recorded, he mixed it, and we had the. I went because there's a big in St. Louis. There's a big anchor statue kind of thing, and I thought it would be cool to go take a picture on that. And we did it. We just took a picture at the pulpit. Super dorky. I'll never forget. And that's the picture.
Printed paper.
Yeah, exactly. It was.
Dude, it's like burned in my brain.
I know now.
Just because I pissed you off so bad, I think.
So, for me, what was the really telling thing was, do you remember the approval process? So if you have a music
to approve
CD
music, I
or
forgot
a
about
tape,
that. Yeah.
probably still back.
Which
then,
I had
tapes.
none of that because
Yeah.
like I didn't want to like skirt anything.
Right,
But yeah,
exactly.
no, that's good.
So I brought in. So the process of How's Anderson, I don't think I've covered this on the podcast before. Was
I forgot about that.
excuse me. If you have a DVD, a tape, whatever, you have to bring it to
Underwear.
Underwear.
Thongs.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
whatever.
Thongs, just get the
Let's
check
get
on
tried
it.
out.
Yeah, just throw it on, take it all down. Your whole fucking wardrobe. No, but any music you had to bring it down, and like technically, I'm sure they didn't listen to all of them, but technically they were supposed to listen to the CD all the way through.
Yeah,
make sure
that
it was
approved.
okay with Jesus because they're on the
Which
same
I don't
level.
know how that worked because like.
How could you listen to all that music?
Well,
There's
besides
no
that,
way.
like there was drums, like Southern gospel. Like what was Southern gospel? Like that was like taboo there.
Well, it's taboo, but it's funny because the McCurdy's sang all Southern gospel songs.
Well, they had to rip
Are
them
you
all
gonna,
off.
Are you
How
going to
did
tell
you
me
do
that Tim and Brandon and Austin never listened to that shit?
Oh yeah,
No, fuck that.
They all did. I mean, they had to rip
but
it off.
we weren't
and then-
allowed to.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm not bitter
Sorry.
about that. So I.
Well, you were really into music, like
I was,
dude, yeah,
yeah.
you were.
Well, I was
about
raised
that.
on it. So
Irishman or something like that. What is that? No, Irish tenors.
how does this?
What's the Irish tenors?
Here's the thing. This is what you guys need to know. Me and this guy have been hanging out for the last 2 days. He didn't bring up any of this shit, and now all of a sudden he's ambushing my ass. No, I can't believe you remember that.
No,
shit.
I remember.
That's
Dude, I
100%
told
the
you,
Irish
it's like
tenors.
crazy. Well, you had dramatic things happen to you, so you blocked it
if
out.
I could get your fucking memory, Jesus.
Irish
Anyways,
tenors. All right,
yeah, Irish
sorry.
tenors, all 100%. That was my jam, dude.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, I
you
still
went to
like
a
them.
concert while we were at college, though.
I went to
Or
go
you
see
were
Ernie
going
Haas.
to.
I
Yeah,
went to go see Ernie
Ernie
Haas.
Haas.
Yeah. Bobby Perry went. Sorry, Bob. Bob went.
No, because Southern Gospel's okay now in their church.
Now it is. Yeah,
Just
yeah.
ask
But
Eric.
Bobby, yeah.
Fine.
Bobby
Sorry.
went. Bobby went before I did, and I actually got him. I paid him, I think. Maybe I didn't, but I remember at least giving him a marker or something. And I have it. It's here somewhere. I have a poster with everyone's signature. Roy Webb, like everyone.
Dude,
like
that's way
Ernie.
cool.
Yeah, I thought it was.
I mean,
Anyways,
I grew up on the cathedrals. All right, let's.
I wasn't allowed to, but yeah, I tried.
I mean, that was all my dad, but once again,
Yeah.
that. Anyway,
Wicked
we'll talk about that
sinful
later.
stuff. So, you, in order to get your CDs approved, you had to go down to what office was that? The fucking demerit office. I don't know.
No,
Discipline
no.
office. Was that what it was
No,
called?
because was Melissa Rhines in charge of it, or no? I shouldn't have dropped names. Sorry, not Melissa Rhines. There was
No, I know who you're
some
talking
other
about.
chick.
It's
and
just,
it was
the name
in-
sounds similar, but I can't.
It was in whose office? What was the guy's name?
Well, I think Borsch was next door.
Borsch. It was Borsch's office, but it
But
was
these
like the
girls worked
approval
in it.
office.
Yeah.
It was like where you got your passes and all
Yeah,
that
yeah,
other
yeah,
stuff.
where you went because you know it was gonna be. What is the South Park thing like? You're gonna have a bad time. Anytime you're
gonna
going to
have
that
a bad time.
office, you're gonna have a bad
Yeah,
time.
we have a fabulous story about the bad time of
Yes.
John Banister there.
Yes.
But yeah,
so
so you would have to submit your shit.
You had to
into
submit your
there.
shit. If it got approved, you get a 8, and they had to do it every year. Even
Yeah.
if you got it approved last year,
It's the
you-
same CD.
I
They
have
just
the
love
same-
more work
I have the
for
same
all of the-
CD. It already had a sticker on it. What happened between last year?
Well, what
and this
happened
year?
was
Yeah,
is more
tell
girls
me.
got enrolled. They had to pay them $3 an hour to be able to prove it. You know what I'm saying? Like sharing is caring. Like
You needed something.
the world goes round.
Right. Okay.
They have to have work. I
Yeah,
mean, what
it's
else
true.
do you do around
For
there?
$3.
Security officers. Oh, that's so.
Oh my God, dude, Sean Rook.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
you, I got him. So I think me and John talked about him, Warden. So you go down. I'm gonna finish the story. God damn it! You go down. You get your little ass sticker, and you're good for that year of
That
school.
year.
I took my Anchorman CD down. It did not get approved.
What? They're like, this isn't alive. That's why you're so sensitive. You're like, John knows something that I don't. It didn't get approved. That is so
That was
funny.
super
Dude, that was...
funny.
No, but you should have been. That's like home church shit. Like, dude, that, like, growing up your whole life, worshiping old Jack and...
Oh, dude, yeah, no.
Like, you got rejected.
I was by him, basically.
Yeah.
I was very, very upset that my CD did not... my CD...
That's the worst feeling ever. Like, you're not a reject, but they rejected you.
Yeah, that's the ultimate rejection, is like, not just
But
like...
you know what? It could be a compliment. You know why?
Because I was too...
Legacy 5 was out there too, right? Like, so, like, you're like right there. Oh, man. Dude, you're up there with
amazing.
Legacy 5.
I know, it's true, and that's the only way I'm up there with them, is not getting approved. So, I think probably we sang a couple cathedral songs. They're a little too upbeat, and you can't have your voice... I don't know what the right term is. Someone that knows music, correct me. But, like, you can't have any sort of, like, warble or anything. Your voice can't move around, so to speak.
I got you.
You can have, like, Jake Giesler.
Can you have falsetto?
Yeah, at the end. You can have falsetto, and you can have the ridiculous... Yeah.
Girl.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sounds beautiful.
He was my tour trainer, dude. It was rough.
Yeah.
So, anyways, there are some things you could have, but I think what we did was we had too much, our voices moved around too much. I didn't like that. So, that's how we met.
Anchorman. That's why you forgot.
Dude, 100% that's why I forgot.
Like, you liked me because of the prank, but then when it came back on you, you were like,
I was
dude.
like, hey, don't be a funny guy at me.
Gavin, stab this kid, but I'm not going to tell him in front of his face. Yes. You do it for me. Like,
you're bigger. So let's talk about if you've watched the podcast before, you know about my upbringing. I'll speak to it briefly as John speaks to his. But I kind of want to get what I like is having different people on the podcast that have different backgrounds, right? Mm-hmm. And so, me and I've had John Warden on before. Me and John Warden have a very similar upbringing, like legit. He didn't go to Mount Salem, but we both went to the same junior camp in Michigan.
Gotcha.
And we went to the same. I feel like you would. Did you go to youth conference?
I went to youth conference.
Okay,
yeah.
so I mean,
I
that's
saw all
similar.
you guys standing up on your chairs. I'm like, what's that weird stuff?
The fuck is wrong with these guys?
What?
What's with the family Bibles? Yeah.
Who does that?
Those guys did. So not me. I don't have a family.
No,
Bible.
I get it though.
But
yeah, no, I saw you guys, but I was never never in that group.
Fucking stupid and crazy. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, I wasn't homeschooled. I wasn't like.
Only till 6th grade, bro. Fuck
Dude,
off.
I was a reprobate the whole time, so don't get mad.
Good for you. No, I am mad. I wish that was me. So, I like having someone on the podcast that has a lot, different upbringing. Because yours wasn't so much closed-minded, and not that it wasn't at all, but just like it was different from ours. So, just maybe briefly walk me through like what your upbringing was like. What were you allowed to do and not allowed to do? How did your parents handle discipline, things like that?
Gotcha. So, yeah, so I grew up in Joliet, Illinois, which is kind of funny because it's just a suburb of Chicago.
That's a stone's throw away, yeah.
Which is totally, like, close to Hiles-Anderson and First Baptist Church.
Well, because that's
I never heard about it the whole entire time. I was
really?
a kid, yeah. Never heard about it. Very active in church, and of course in Joliet, there's, like, tons of churches.
Is there?
Now, my grandpa knew about Hiles-Anderson, but I never found out or First Baptist Church until I got older and I actually went.
Gotcha. For like a youth conference or something? Was that your introduction?
No, when I went to college.
Oh, okay.
He was actually very upset. Or
really?
He wasn't upset, but he made comments about Jack Hiles. Of course, because of the bus routes that came into Joliet. Because you got to save the world.
Yeah.
But it's like, dude, we were all going to church, so anyway. So
I do love that aspect of the ministry, like, of First Baptist. Like, it's so much about numbers, and with so many churches, but with them, so much about numbers, so number driven. I know I'm cutting off your story.
No, you're fine.
So number driven that like, oh, we already have a church. Okay, well, it's Catholic, right? Well, no, it's a Christian church. Oh, but you probably don't believe in salvation. No, we do.
Yeah.
Oh, but you should definitely come to our church. What the fuck? It's the same shit.
Yeah, fuck no, it is. And see, that's the weird, crazy part, like, even when I went to school, because you guys were the elitist. And it was programmed into you that nobody else is like
everyone else is wrong.
Guys,
yeah, everyone else is wrong.
And
in some way, everyone else is wrong.
Weird, so crazy.
So growing up,
I went to Calvary Baptist Church as a kid. Fabulous church, still to this day. Lifelong friends. They preached the gospel.
Yeah.
Like, that's all I really remember. I don't remember all these rules, regulations. Yeah. Of course, I was a kid. I got saved and baptized there.
Gotcha.
Steve Brady was the pastor.
Okay.
Not
Steve
fabulous
Bradbury,
guy.
Steve Brady.
No, not Steve Bradbury. I have a good one about Steve Bradbury.
We will talk about that.
He's a dignified, division leader. Anyway,
Yeah, all
but
right.
I wouldn't step on his toes.
I don't think I would either.
Anyway, God has ordained him to be division leader of the world.
You got. I don't know if it comes before or after this podcast, but we're gonna get into that, and you're gonna love it.
Anyway,
Continue.
Side note. So, Calvary Baptist Church, great church. They loved people. I was born and raised there, I believe. Yeah, I was born and raised there. Lots of friends. 8 years old, moved to northern Wisconsin.
Yep.
But my experience there in that church was, preaching truth, preaching relationship,
Okay.
preaching the Bible,
Yeah.
and we loved it there. And all the families were well connected. Many of my friends still go to that church. I think it's called like Gospel
Wow.
Life or Grace Life Church, something like that. Sorry,
Something ecumenical and not Baptist.
not necessarily ecumenical, but
Okay.
it is, dude. They totally more community driven and
That's what it
gospel
should be.
driven. So anyway, so that was the first 8 years of my life, and I can honestly say best memories of my life.
Sweet.
Those first 8 years.
Good.
And very healthy church. And anyway, so we moved to Wisconsin. We vacationed there all the
Okay.
time. So we went swimming. We did all of the bad things.
Did you do mixed swimming?
Yeah, mixed swimming. I didn't even. Oh, actually, at Calvary, like we would go have pool parties at friends' houses
Yeah.
and things like that. I never even knew that shit
That was a
bad.
thing,
Like,
yeah.
dude, I had no thing. And you know what the crazy part is? No weird thoughts. Of course, I was 8, but come on, like I still had crushes on
Yeah,
my
yeah,
babysitters
for sure,
and
for
stuff
sure.
like that. You know,
Oh,
I still had the
God, yeah.
hormones.
Yeah.
But it was never in that environment.
Yeah.
It would have been weird to talk about because we're family, right?
Yeah.
And so, anyway,
I've
so
talked about that on another podcast where it's just like, and I told someone like, yeah, but no mixed swimming, and he was like, what does that word mean? What does that mean?
Yeah, what
and
does
when
that
I told him, he was like, okay, so like swimming, like no mixed swimming. No, it's swimming, bro. Like calm the fuck down. Like it doesn't matter.
It's so funny you brought that up because when we moved to Wisconsin and we were talking about camp earlier, they had this huge deal of one church we went to had mixed swimming and the other church didn't. And that's when I discovered what that was.
That's
and I was like,
fucking
wait,
amazing.
like, what are you talking about?
I love it.
We're going to get back to the swimming
Yes, we
part in
will.
a
Yes,
minute
we will.
because we moved to northern Wisconsin and my parents, like, my dad had a job up there. That's where we vacationed. That's where we loved it. It was
Gotcha.
gorgeous up there. And so my dad's like, I always want to move up there. So
Oh,
we
yeah.
end up packing up, moving up there. There's hardly any churches in Wisconsin. So we were all the way up in Lake Superior. So my parents started shopping around for churches, different things like that. And all the big thing for me or my parents was they would go to these churches and they didn't have the King James Version
Oh
Bible.
my God. You. So sorry to interject. Growing up, was that always a big thing for them?
They never preached about it. It was
Right.
just what they knew. Like
Like,
my
I
parents
remember-
wouldn't be able to tell like the trail of the blood or any
Right.
of that shit.
I remember though, anytime we'd go on vacation, that was just such a point of contention because we had to go to church on vacation, which was fucking enjoying vacation.
Yeah.
But like, and I'm not mad at my parents. It's just it was
Open or
part of
close
the.
communion. Could you take communion while you're on vacation? Hey, that's
That's a good question. Wow, this guy went deep.
Anyway,
Shit.
sorry.
All
Sorry.
I'm thinking about is a KJV.
I'm a
bro.
provoker.
Just-
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, Anchorman. Tell me about it. Fuck. Fuck you.
I'm sorry, Stuart.
That's
that
absolutely-
actually bothered me my whole life. I was really mad.
Glad we
mean
kind
to
of
that
aired
kid.
it now.
I was really mean to him.
Dude, that is absolutely going in the title of this podcast. No way, it's not.
That's-
John's a fucking asshole / Anchorman podcast.
I was, but dude, like, no joke. Like, that's when I realized,
That's
dude, my
awesome.
words actually affect people. Because I was
Yeah.
not trying to be an
I'm
asshole.
super sensitive,
But, like,
dude.
I grew up an asshole because my dad was a nice guy. But I followed his path.
I have always been uber sensitive about everything. So jump in the comments and piss me off. It won't take much.
Yay,
But-
Anchorman.
Yeah. So fucking that should definitely be like I'm gonna try to figure out the thumbnail.
We
for this
are
one.
Anchorman. Like, we're holding up the anchor.
It's
High
true.
West.
Yeah.
Cheers.
So my question to you was, not question. I just want to talk about it. So I remember going on vacation and that being a big point of contention. Like every church we went, like we would go on vacation, but we had to, if it was Wednesday or Sunday, we had to be in church.
Right.
And so we'd find a church, and generally in the phone book, as crazy as this is, generally in the phone book or some kind of ad, it would say King James
Are you
only.
serious?
Oh yes.
Yeah, see, we
Oh,
never
yes.
knew that. Like, what it was I think that Calvary at the time was KJV,
Okay.
and my parents, of course, grew up on KJV, right? And so when we went to other churches, that was like the first time we were experiencing the other versions. We didn't know that the NIV like were Nazis and cut shit out that we needed to know and all that shit. You know what I mean?
Total.
It was just foreign. So
Absolutely.
my parents were like, or my dad mostly, he was like, well, this is weird. And I still experience that today, even with my kids, because we go to church.
Yeah.
And Vince, I'm sorry if you're listening to this. Sorry about all the profanity.
Sorry,
but
bro.
anyway, where I go to now, they read many different Bibles, right?
Awesome.
And so for me, even still to this day, I'm like,
It's
but
awkward.
that's not what I know.
Right.
It's not that it's bad. It's just I memorized all this shit.
Right.
You're making me relearn new stuff.
Right, what the fuck? So that was the point I wanted to make. Was I remember not only it being this very tense moment of trying to find a church. Like, it's Wednesday night, we just got in the hotel, but we gotta go to church. So we get there, and half the time we'd get there late, and we felt awkward because we're used to going to church wearing a shirt and tie at least. And so when we get there, we feel awkward because we're in t-shirts or whatever, and then the guy starts preaching, and it's not the right version, we would get up and walk out.
Man, you guys,
we were legit.
legit.
We were legit as
you let
fuck.
everybody know, even though everybody else didn't even have a clue
Exactly.
why you took
Why
a
we
stand on
left.
anything. They're like, there goes
We
the
just-
anchorman, throwing a fit.
So we that's hilarious. But I do, bro. I remember going to one church, and we didn't realize until it was too late that it was a not too late. It was a Pentecostal church, and
Yes.
fuckers started jumping up, speaking in tongues, and we were just like, "Holy shit!" Like we didn't say shit, but we were out of there, dude. That shit was hilarious. Anyways, I'm sorry. Continue. Your upbringing.
No, that's great.
You guys moved to Wisconsin.
Yeah, so we moved to Wisconsin, and there we tried out a bunch of different churches, and of course, we were going to a church in Illinois that was established, like you know,
been there for a while.
It's been there for a while. We of course were connected to all the families. Like
Right.
they really were a family
What
unit.
made you guys move? If you
My
don't mind me asking,
dad, we always vacationed there. It was his
okay.
dream to live in Wisconsin.
Okay,
right?
gotcha.
So
you just a big fan of cheese, or?
no, hunting, fishing, all the stuff I don't do now because fundamentalism ruined it. It made me a pussy,
Really
and it's
did,
like,
totally.
oh. Anyway,
Macho, fuck that.
so now I let my wife do all the killing.
Your wife is Joe Rogan, is that what you're telling me right now?
My wife is Joe Rogan. I mean, I've been there, like
Does
with
she?
the binoculars.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, 2 clicks down, you know. But I don't kill the animals.
You
The
just let
animals
her
have
do it.
feelings. Like, I'm on the mission field over here. I came to Utah to go preach Jesus, babe.
So the title of this podcast is going to be Animals Have Feelings and the Anchorman. It's all this guy.
No, so anyway,
So
so,
you-
so
so you
my
guys
dad
moved
would
to
always go
Wisconsin.
fishing.
Okay.
We'd always go up there. He loved the North Woods, as it's called, right? Hence the beard. Actually,
Oh,
I'm
nice.
going back to the North Woods for the first time ever.
Oh, nice.
We're going on a fishing trip, and so
Hell
I
yeah.
want my man beard,
Yeah,
but it's not
you
growing
need
very
that.
fast. But I want it down to here. So
Jesus, some ZZ Top shit, huh?
it's like no grow till September.
Yeah, God bless.
I hate it.
This
It
is
bothers
it.
me.
You can't even see this on the camera. All I can grow is this little bit right here, and then I got tremendous neck beard right here, and that's it.
Yeah.
Sucks
I
ass.
actually hate it, but I'm in a competition. I'm really competitive.
Do it.
Anyway,
Do it.
so yeah, like I mean, we went up there all the time. We
Is it the Dynasty
vacation.
competition? Like, I need to know
I'm
more
trying
about
to
this.
get there. Like I'm like, dude, no. So what it is?
Yeah, I
is,
need to know. You
Okay.
can't leave us hanging.
All right.
Okay.
All right. So we're going on a muskie fishing trip. Me and my
Okay.
dad and my future brother-in-law. Maybe if he ever pops the question. Hi, Chase. Anyway, so
I hope none of your people watch this. They're gonna burn me to the ground.
no, they won't, dude. They got me. They know me.
I hope
It's
so.
all right. So anyway, so
I'm gonna get a call from some attorneys. We watch your fucking podcast, you asshole. All right, sorry. Go ahead. So you're
No.
going on a fishing trip.
no. So anyway, we're going on a fishing trip. It's a great thing.
Hell yeah.
We'll get to that more later, as far as the relationship between me and my dad and
Yeah.
religion and all
Good.
that stuff.
Good.
Because there was really a severing in the
Okay.
things that we enjoyed and we did as a family,
Got it.
and the things that my dad had relationships with us kids.
Gotcha.
Because it's all about the Lord's work, right?
Yes. Yes.
And so it's like, fuck your
It's
relationship
not about
with
your,
your dad.
your family. Doesn't matter. It's by the
Yeah,
wayside.
go get those 25,000 baptisms. But anyway, so
Exactly.
so anyway, we grew up fishing with my dad, hunting with
Yeah.
my dad. Like he's very passionate about it. So anyway, he called me up. He's like, hey, like, you know, my mom and dad are back together, which is fabulous.
Hell yeah.
And my brother and sister, they live out there by me too now.
Well, that's awesome.
And so
dude.
my dad's like, how about we just, you know, there's a lot of things that were severed.
Yeah.
Let's go out and
Let's
let's go fishing like we used to, right?
Hell yeah.
And so the dude that's dating my sister right now, he likes to fish too, so he's
nice.
he's gonna come with us.
That's true.
So anyway, I got this really crazy idea because I'm watching all this beard shit, which I
Right.
hate facial hair. I'm not gonna lie. Anyway, so I'm like, dude, we're going to the Northwoods. Like, let's make a competition out of
Let's
this. Like,
all
we're gonna grow this
grow
shit,
this shit
out, right? Like, forget No Shave November. We're gonna go like
no
half
shave
the year.
2018.
Yeah. So so anyway, I'm a nerd. So like, whenever I take something on, I do all this
Just
crazy research. Yeah, and I try to do it right. And so I got my beard oil, my beard brush, all that shit.
You and
Same
John
starts
are, I don't
happening.
know when this drops, if me and you and John's drops, or if it even happens, but like you and John Warden are on the same page right now, dude. Like,
Dude, I totally saw John's beard. I was like,
dude, his beard is good.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. No, I'm kind of jealous. But anyway.
I can't wait for you guys to help me
Yeah.
out and be like,
Yeah.
just like, boys. That's gonna be fucking tremendous. And I'm gonna be sitting over here like, don't look at my shit.
But anyway, so dude, like
How are
I
you
took
doing
my
in the
wife-
competition? Your dad's got to be killing you though.
No, my dad doesn't know about this shit. If this goes live, he doesn't even know.
That's awesome.
So anyway, we've been hiding it off of social media.
Oh, okay.
But the thing is I want to be like a lumberjack, right? So I did all my research and I found Mod Cabin, which is fabulous. Their gun barrel oil, beard oil,
Yeah.
smells like the freaking forest,
Oh,
dude.
that's dope.
I'm like,
Hell yeah. Fuck
yeah, I'm a lumberjack, and I don't care if my wife doesn't like it.
legit, dude.
Anyway, I'm gonna own this shit. So, and my wife hates facial hair too.
Oh God.
But I knew if my wife hated it, there's no way I'm gonna accomplish this goal unless I drag somebody else in because I'm
For
really
sure.
competitive.
Yeah.
So I call up my future brother-in-law,
Brother-in-law,
Chase.
yeah.
I love you, but I'm like, dude, we gotta go in together.
Hell
We're
yeah.
gonna do this thing, and we're gonna make a memory. So we're not cutting, we're not shaving until the fishing trip, right? And so he's like, he's down with it. My sister hates
That's
me.
awesome.
It's fabulous.
I bet she does,
We
huh?
swap selfies of our pubes on our chin. You know, it's a fabulous adventure.
That's terrific.
So anyway, where was I at?
I have no idea.
That's how I ended up in Wisconsin, was
Okay.
because we love the lumberjack thing and
Yes.
we want to grow beards and be in
Good
the woods.
work on the train of thought there, because I
Yeah.
was gone.
No, we just want to frolic out in the woods with our beards, right? Yeah. So anyway, so in the process of getting up
Yeah.
there, of course, our train of thought wasn't fundamentalism, so we weren't like, oh, you gotta find a church, that's why you move.
Right.
My dad's like, I enjoy this place,
Right.
let's go there and let's raise a family,
Okay.
right? And so then we went on this journey of finding churches, and I remember my parents being frustrated, and the reason why is because there's no other church like Calvary that we were
Yeah.
at. We were really well connected, family.
Yeah, you've been
It
there a
was-
long
It
time.
was great.
For
Like,
sure.
dude, still some of the best friends that I have in my life are
That's
still
awesome.
at that church, right? So we go out on this journey, and we go to all these other churches, and I always remember, because I was just a kid, hearing my parents' conversations, right, where they're like, oh no, I really like this one for this reason, but you know, there's a King James Bible issue, there was the music, it was a little different.
Always something. Yeah.
But my parents were never in fundamentalism, so it was different, right? But once again, in northern Wisconsin, they call Wisconsin the graveyard of churches, different things
Really?
like that. So it's all like smaller congregations
That's
too,
funny.
not very active. They were all out in the woods frolicking with their beards. Like, what the hell? That's what we
Beard
all wanted.
frolicking, yes.
Why didn't we just beard
Just
frolic?
do that.
Like,
Fucking church shit.
like motorboat that shit. Anyway, fuck. Sorry.
Wow, how do we get there? All right, continue.
Anyway, no.
Let's talk about your upbringing,
No.
John.
Sorry, dude. Like, just hold up flashcards and say stop
Right.
now.
Fuck off.
Just hold up an anchor.
Yeah.
Oh no. I'm like,
Wow.
oh yeah, kid, I pissed off
I'm
a long
gonna
time ago.
see. I'm gonna see in between these podcasts, because we're filming a couple more episodes. I'm gonna go to TJ Maxx and see if I can find an anchor, and that's gonna sit right here.
Yeah,
Then
that
I'll
means
return
John,
that
shut
shit.
up. Like,
Hey,
okay,
it's like
so
a fucking
anyway,
crucifix.
no
But I have
crucifix.
some holy water.
Dude, that is blasphemous right now.
I don't give a fuck.
Fuck. Jesus is not on the cross.
This is.
I got another side note for that, but
I'm sure you do.
Whatever.
This is a pretty blasphemous podcast. I'm not sure. If
Not
you know.
really, like, dude.
What? I better step it up then.
Maybe it's blasphemous if you're at the IFB.
Yeah, you are. It is for that, for sure.
Everything's blasphemous. It's like, don't talk to somebody other than us. Don't tell him that shit.
Yeah, you can't.
God
Not our
doesn't want to
secrets.
know the secrets. It's kind of like Mormonism with the gold plates. Like, where are those gold plates? I don't know, but don't
say
tell.
it.
Till the internet came out, and they're like, fuck,
Oh,
what do
we're
we do
fucked.
now?
How are we gonna hide
Holy
this
shit. Like, if you ever want to learn Mormon doctrine, South Park is a great place.
It's a terrific start.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway.
Shut the fuck up and tell me your story. So your upbringing, you moved to Wisconsin. It was difficult to find a church.
Yeah, so it was
Because-
difficult to find a church.
Yeah.
And it
church
was just,
home, I should say.
and the reason why was just because of the family aspect of it, really. But I remember my parents going through all these other issues.
Yeah.
And so then we found a small church. I'll spare the name just because there is some stuff that went on.
Got it.
But anyway, so we got into this church. The guy was a Hiles guy through and through. Right?
Sorry about that.
So, no, it's all right. Like, I mean, it was, of course, different than what I was used to because
For sure.
you always know a Hiles guy because all they ever do is talk about their bus routes and what happened,
Yep.
and they never preach the Bible.
Nope.
It's, like, hilarious. 'Cause
It's
I'm like,
numbers, dude.
it's like, wait, you thought that was a good sermon? Because, like, nobody else thinks so, except for the people in your group. It's like, really? Like,
your cronies, your 3 cronies.
yeah,
That's it.
Yeah.
And the rest of us are like, what was a biblical application? Cause
Yeah, I'm like, Hiles Anderson, railroad tracks. I'll take the bus kids. What did that have to do with John 3:16?
The railroad tracks, for
Please
sure.
help me. Like, no, really, it's like,
That's
I'll
true.
take the bus kids. Like,
every
we
time.
even watched the movie. But anyway,
Church with a Heart.
yeah, Church with the
that's
Heart.
beautiful.
But anyway,
Beautiful.
so I think what happened was what drew my dad into it was there was really good people that were going there, and genuine people. And I think what happened was my dad popped in at the church before we moved up, and there was like these 3 ladies just listening to a tape recorder, and they were listening to Jack Hiles or something like that. Like that was the pastor,
Yeah.
right? And my dad was like so caught off guard. I think because of their dedication to what he thought was God. 'Cause,
Right.
like, look at these ladies, like they're here all by themselves doing this thing. Like it kind of, pulled on his heartstrings.
For
a bit,
sure,
right?
yeah.
And so he's like, dude, these people are real,
So
right?
that's
And
legit,
so
yeah.
then when we moved up there, then we went up there, and the pastor up there, which again, I'll save the name because there's some drama around that. But anyway, good people, right? Like we connected, but there was like 10 people there. That was weird for
So,
us.
yeah.
Um,
So what size congregation were you coming from?
I don't know,
100,
like
200,
100
50?
maybe.
Yeah. Yeah,
But-
that's
but it-
10% of what you were used to.
Yeah, but
you
it
guys
was
just
consistent.
almost doubled their congregation.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the thing too, like for my dad too, because of religion, and I don't know if I get in trouble by saying this, but like
Not
my
on this
mom,
podcast.
no, my mom was always very spiritual one, right?
Okay.
And my dad was like,
Blah, whatever.
my dad didn't like grow up thinking, okay, I'm called to be a carpenter for the rest of my life,
Right,
deal, right?
right.
He was just a carpenter, and he's a damn
Yep.
good one at that.
Yep.
But and so my mom was completely opposite of that. And so
Got
I
it.
think like going into that small scenario, all of a sudden my dad had influence spiritually,
Ah.
which of course makes the marriage go better
Kind of
and
alienates.
everything else.
Oh,
yeah.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
Which,
I went the wrong way.
sorry
with that.
mom, but if it's wrong, you can just tell me in the comments. But anyway, no,
Tell
so
him, even if it's not wrong, tell him it's wrong.
yeah, no. So, I mean, and my dad was like going through some stuff, and he
Sure.
was growing. He got in a bad car accident, different things like that. So it's like this is the moment that God got a hold of his life. So all of a sudden, we went on this totally different journey,
Right.
going to this church. And so the guy spoke of Hiles. I don't know if he was a bus kid or not. He wasn't a college student, so it wasn't as gung ho. And so, anyway, so we went from there. And then the pastor ended up leaving for some crazy reasons, and we were sitting there left with just the church, right? And so now my parents want to act like they're like, not act like my parents genuinely
But they
wanted
wanted
to
to take
carry
care-
on the torch.
But they want to take care of the
There was like
congregation. I
a
get
year
it.
dedicated to carrying on the torch.
Yeah, there definitely was.
We will carry the torch. We didn't have the song, but like we were
It
living.
didn't
carrying
sound
the
like
torch.
it right now. I'm not gonna lie.
Really? It's all right, dude. Like, I wasn't
You're not an
labeled.
anchorman.
I wasn't on the CD. Like, no, but
I don't remember
for real.
carrying the. I do remember carrying the torch. I also remember Jack Hiles did a sermon on a baton. And do you remember that one? I think it was in pastor school. Like he handed out
Yeah.
batons,
Yep.
and I had already.
That's when I was called to preach, actually.
Yeah, well, I had already been
Called
called
to
like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
But I was like, God damn it, I want that baton. So I got called just one more time for
To get the
for
baton?
the
Of
baton.
course,
Fuck
right.
yeah.
What about filling the shoes? Were you there for filling?
Oh,
It was
I
right
don't
after
know.
Jack Hiles died. Jack
Well, I was
Scott was
there.
talking about.
Oh,
his shoes,
no, I was in
they're huge to
Missouri.
fill, but all collectively, we can fill those shoes.
It sounds like my Ray Young interview. Did you listen to that one?
Yeah,
Dude.
it's great.
And the
Sorry,
tears-
Ray.
the
I used to
tears-
sign letters with you in college,
the
but
tears-
we won't talk about that.
Well, he talks about all the tears and how they collected all the tears in the bottles.
Hey, come on, man.
It's back to your insurance premiums for Jesus.
Dude, oh my gosh.
So much ridiculous
Oh
stuff,
my
dude.
gosh.
So
That's
many
another
things
one.
that, so many illustrations and messages and things that, like, when you look back, you're like, that's not real. Like, that shit you were putting on me as a fact.
No.
There's just
Do
no
you
way.
know that there used to be, not a website, but there was actually this DVD or CD program, because the internet was evil where
Right,
I came
yeah.
from, that you could plug in illustrations. And so they would plug in this
no
topic,
shit.
and then there'd be this story. And then
So
the
you
pastor
just roll
of
with
that
it.
church, like, of course, I knew his son, so his son told me about this cool program. If you're ever speaking, you do it. The pastor of that church told those stories that they were real.
Yes.
Like
So
his.
I remember, so my pastor for a time in Missouri, I won't say his name, but he told a story about being in like a homiletics class or preaching 101 or something. Was it 101 or preaching 1, 2, 3? I think it was preaching 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah,
I don't know,
1, 2,
whatever
3.
it was.
I don't.
He was in
Where's your sports coat? You can't say that about a sports coat. Come on, Helen Donnelly would be ashamed of
Let me
you.
run grab it.
Yeah.
So he,
Come on.
he was listening to a it was a preaching class, right? So they had to do like illustrations. Like get up and
Right.
give me a 3-minute illustration. So this guy got up and gave this illustration, and it was bomb. Like he just killed it. Like the guys in the class were crying. It was amazing.
Yeah.
He sat down, and the teacher gets up and goes, "That is an incredible personal illustration. Where did you, how did that happen?" He's like, "Oh, I made it up." He's like, "You can't do that."
Dude, I can't drop his name,
Okay.
but I have a friend.
You'll have to after.
Yeah, I will after. I have a friend that I forget which class it was. It would have been one of the Englishes,
Okay.
but he had to turn in a poem.
Was it for Philippines?
I'm not sure,
Okay.
because he was a little bit before my time,
Okay.
but we worked together.
Probably Phil.
That might
Phil
give it away.
Nah.
But anyway,
Wasn't me.
dude, he turned in Aussie lyrics
No shit.
and got an A. Like,
I'm like sheltered those fucking.
I'm like, these people are delusional.
Then maybe it wasn't Phil, because I feel like Phil probably listened to Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Crazy Train, my kids love it.
Yeah.
Like, they're just like, da-na-na-na-na. Anyway,
Fucking awesome.
anyway.
So, growing up, I think the thing I wanted to speak to was the fact that you grew up, you were in church, but it wasn't so much IFB or fundamentalism all through and through your whole life.
No, not at all.
Okay.
It was Wisconsin. And after that pastor left, because even there, we were fine. And
Yeah.
then what happened was we moved on to pastor after pastor. He spoke of Jack Hyles, so then it was like the qualification.
Right,
when
so
you
if
have
he was a
pastor
Jack Hyles
come in.
affiliate, then he was
Yeah,
the guy.
and so then we
Got
got
it.
sucked into it. And the thing is not to distract from the issue,
Mhm.
is I think my parents were going through a time where they're like, wow, because like we talked about, they
Yeah.
preach culture.
Yeah.
1950s culture. And so, of course,
100%.
my parents, they're probably like,
It's nostalgia.
dude, this is what we heard when we were kids. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, we see how
This
it
makes
slipped.
sense.
Like,
Yep.
preaching sermons about the miniskirt and how that came about
Yep,
and all that
yep,
twisted
yep.
stuff. Even though the church we were in before, it was never talked about because it was about your relationship.
Uh-huh.
So that stuff was never like weird fetishes and
Right.
things like that, right?
Right.
But now all of a sudden in fundamentalism, it's taboo. So my parents are like, dude, I got 2 boys.
Yep.
What am I doing?
How am I going to protect
Like-
him from these miniskirts?
Yeah, and it's like familiar culture. So, dude, my parents, like, as Gentile
Right.
fundamentalists,
Right.
right? We get saved in fundamentalism, so they...
I want to speak to that really quick. Sorry,
Yeah.
you're on one. I want to hear the rest of it. But I just want to explain that Gentile kind of concept.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
what you're saying is, for me, what I hear when you say that is kind of the outside looking in. Not to subjugate or say that anyone's lesser or any...
Yeah, no,
but
you
it's
guys were
different.
Jewish. You were the
Right,
real
right,
deal.
Exactly.
Like, you were God's
Yeah,
people.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
So that's what... but that's the point. That's the distinction that needs to be made is like, what you're kind of... We're coming from being born, raised, and everything Jack Hyles his way.
Right.
You're coming from Jack Hyles' new information.
Yeah,
Basically.
new information. And, of
And
course...
really, not just Jack Hyles, the IFB, which I am not entirely sure that I'm right, because it could be John Rice, it could be someone before Jack Hyles, Could be O.B. Green. It could be a lot of different people. But I
Right.
feel like Jack Hyles was really the one that championed the whole IFB.
Oh,
movement.
he totally spearheaded it because
That's
he was
my
in
opinion.
Southern Baptist Convention
Yeah.
originally.
Yeah,
Actually,
that's right, he was.
First Baptist Church was different.
It was
They weren't even Southern Baptist.
weren't they? I
No,
thought
they were like, I forget what
Okay.
it was. There was a formal Baptist. They would have wore like
Are you
tuxedos
sure
and stuff like that.
They weren't. We need to look that up. And I'm not.
No,
trying
they
to
weren't
argue with
Southern
you,
Baptist.
because almost every Southern Baptist church down south is First Baptist Church.
Yeah, no. They weren't. They were
Okay.
like, I forget what it was. It was
a missionary.
It was a premier one.
Okay.
Because they used to like be all formal and
Super
stuff.
formal, yeah.
They used to wear like tuxedos
Yeah, well, that
and
was
stuff like
Jack
that.
Hyles'
And the
big thing was-
Texas tornado.
Yeah, I'll take the
came
bus kids
up,
and
right?
fuck all the rich people.
Yes, because he came
How
out of the
much-
Southern Baptist Convention.
There's no way that's all religion, though.
What?
Because Jack had money.
What? No.
Like,
what's
fuck
the
the rich
word?
people and, like, I'll take the bus
Yeah,
kids.
no. It wasn't about
was
that.
that
But
money
this
coming
is
from?
the
You know what
thing.
I mean? Yeah,
It's
go ahead.
if you follow the line,
Yeah.
right, and you actually put on your brain.
Yeah.
So it comes from the Southern Baptist
Whoa.
Convention. The Southern Baptist Convention means that there's an organization that you're accountable to.
Yes, okay.
They
okay.
didn't preach that. They preached
Yep.
local church,
Mhm.
right? Which was spearheaded out of Jack Hyles, which is jacked up
Got
because I'm sorry, but if you teach the Bible,
Right.
they're actually, even though the Bible talks about the universal church and the harlot and all that stuff
Yep.
that we learn in Bible college, the fact of the matter is if you're a Christian, you're my brother in Christ, right?
Right.
So then
Why do
are
I
you,
have a problem?
Why are you a different brother than that brother? It's almost
Right.
like it's like you're a white brother,
Yeah.
that's a black brother,
Right.
that's an Asian brother, and that's a different brother,
Right.
and we're going to war together, and like you can't mix it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I agree.
Not that I'm racist, but that's how they segregated the issues.
I get it. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so, what happened is First Baptist Church was actually a formal church, and the Texas tornado came up, and he was like preaching audibly Southern Baptist,
Gotcha.
right?
Yeah.
But we, of course, don't know what went on because we weren't there.
Right.
But I'm sure the Southern Baptist Convention was kind of like, you need to crack down on your stuff.
Right.
Which Jack Hyles, of course, prided himself on. He's like, no, like we need to break away from
Yeah,
this,
do our
and
own
we need
thing.
to spearhead this, right? Which all these people jumped the bandwagon and are fundamentalists, and they're like, it's all
Let's
about
do it.
fundamentalism.
Yeah.
Which, I'm sorry, you read Trail of the Blood, you look at the King James Bible, how it translated, has nothing to do with IFB.
No.
That was spearheaded between Jack Hyles and whoever else he knew.
Yep.
John R. Rice actually used to be a good buddy of his, which of course caused controversies because he wasn't in the IFB circles, actually.
This I didn't know.
Yeah,
That's very
and so
interesting.
it kind of split their friendship,
Yeah.
but Jack would never talk bad about him.
Yeah.
But yeah, it totally separated
Well,
the
I mean,
issues.
you can't. Like, if you're, I don't know how, if you're Jack Hyles, you talk bad about John R. Rice, because John R. Rice is a big pillar of the faith, you know what I mean?
Oh
Even
yeah,
if he's
pillar
not-
of the faith, but that's what's jacked up about IFB churches is because Charles Spurgeon, I'm sorry, but he was an IFB
Back in,
at
the,
all.
back in the
like-
day, like, if they knew him back in the day, they'd be like, fuck this guy, like,
No.
he's fucking
Dude, I love how
cigars and-
I love how Martin Luther too is brought up in like the posting on the wall and the Great Escape from the Church and Grace, because it's like, dude, he killed Christians. Like, do you not know your theology?
Nope.
But it's like, dude, if it's 100 years old, then we just wash it away, right?
Exactly.
And
It's all-
so
it's okay.
we're gonna take that quote. Why? Because it applies,
Exactly.
and you just listen and you don't ask
Mhm.
questions. Because if you ask questions, it's a problem. Because we know it's a problem because it's jacked up shit, right?
You're right.
So-
I want to, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's
Continue.
fine.
So I want to get into, like, we're kind of jumping around. We have a few things written down that we want to talk about, but I feel like now is a good time to get into God's, our perspective, or what we were taught on God's judgment, and the fear that it brings with it, and how it tends to control us. Because this is okay. So I know you have some things to say about it, and I really want to hear them. This is my little spiel, and then
Yeah, go
I'm going
ahead.
to interject on everything you have to say,
Yeah.
like I've been doing.
Yeah, plus
You really
I talk
still
too
got-
much.
No, fuck no. This is a podcast. That's all.
But I
fucking
love
do.
all of you guys, whether you're IFB or not. Just listen.
Just listen, guys. So my big thing is, and I don't put this on my parents, but growing up and being a big part of the IFB, and in fact, I remember a man who's now, I won't say his name, but he's now the president of Hyles-Anderson College. So that outs him to a few of you.
Wow, I don't even know
explaining-
who that is.
I'll
out
tell
of
you
the
after,
loop. Okay,
yeah.
go ahead.
But I remember him relaying to my parents that he was in a meeting with Jack Scott, who's now in a federal penitentiary, and he's just going to come up on every podcast. It's too juicy not to bring him up. So, but him being in a meeting with Jack Scott, and Jack Scott being very serious and vivid about the fact that our God that we serve is a very angry God. And I don't recall if this person said that he confronted Jack or someone else in the meeting, but they were just kind of like, wait, come again? And he's like, no, our God's a very, very angry God. And so that is something that I don't want to take a lot of time on, but some time on just explaining to people how that, not just how that works, but how that affects the rest of, you know, your childhood, your upbringing, your whole life, because now you're in a constant place of judgment.
Yeah.
You're in a constant place of fear.
Yeah.
And I know there is scripture to, in some ways, maybe misconstrue, but support
Manipulate
that.
it.
Yeah, manipulate, but support that, you know, that there's an angry God and fearing God. And I've heard, and as an assistant pastor, youth pastor, I found ways to interpret that so that it wasn't God making God so scary. But still, it really irked me that, like, it said, like, the fear of God. And I was like, well, not then, and not for a long time, but more recently, I've just come to the place where I'm like, why, though? Like, I know why.
Well, yeah, you gotta rip out the verse, perfect love casteth out fear.
Yeah.
Because it has torment.
Exactly.
But
my thought is, no, I get it. But my thought is, like, I know why. And the why is the manipulation and the getting people to pay tithe and come to church and do everything you want them to do because they're afraid of this angry God. I understand that. But in reality, you're telling me from the cradle to the grave, your whole life, you want to have this person looking over heaven's banister, however you want to put it. That was good. Looking over.
Dude, heaven's banister. See, I'm already there, motherfuckers.
You're fucking set.
Man, I'm already looking down on Stuart, and I'm like, sing, brother, sing!
Fucking anchorman, motherfucker.
Stupid Hyles Anderson rejecting your shit. Fuck.
No approved sticker for you.
You know what?
So
we'll blame them for your dysfunction that they say you have.
Totally.
Like, you rejected his
It's
ass.
your fault.
All right.
So, no, you're good. You're good. So, but my whole thought process is why would you voluntarily submit to the thought process that your version of God is this super angry person who's just like fucking Zeus, waiting with some goddamn lightning bolts, waiting to strike you down for whatever you did that he didn't like.
Right.
I just don't see, and you guys know, you've heard me talk about it before, where I'm at in my life, what I think about, not so much eternity, but God and how I feel. And honestly, from day to day, it changes. I had someone ask me today, and I was like, I don't know what I believe. Like, I'm not sure. But what I can tell you is, I don't see, and there'll be plenty of people for the rest of my life that will debate me on this. I get it. And there's a big argument for, like, how do you know what's right and wrong if there is no God and there's no absolute?
Right.
I understand that argument. I don't give it the time of day these days, but I understand it. All I'm trying to get at is, if there's a God, and I'm not saying there's not, why is he so angry? Like,
right.
Why? Like,
no, I totally agree.
Yeah, how is that? I don't see that that's viable.
And he's not. That's what's so funny to me is that, okay, so in my life, right, so I grew up without fundamentalism.
Right.
But I signed up for it.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, if I want to be a pastor, I want to be the best pastor known to
You wanna go
man.
to the boot camp
So
of
I'm
fundamentalism.
going to boot camp, baby. Like, rock on, right? So I'm going to go to Hyles Anderson. But the fact of the matter is, there's no love there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like...
It's all lost.
And I know where you stand, and that's actually a good place to be, because I feel like in fundamentalism, there's so much energy on don't question, don't ask, don't tell, even though they're against don't ask and don't tell in the military. But who cares, right?
Who cares? We're fundamentalism.
As long as you're controlling people out of fear and being Hitler, it's okay.
Then you're good.
So anyway,
You're golden.
So it's actually a good place to be, because I was kind of in that same mindset myself.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, after I went to Hyles Anderson,
Yeah.
because there's so much pressure on knowing the will of God, right?
Oh,
and
my
if
God,
you don't know
yes.
the will of God, then
you're
no,
lost.
if you're not doing
In the
the
will
right
of God,
things,
yeah.
then you're not going to be in the will of God.
Yeah.
You're going to make fucked up
Dude,
decisions,
that was
and it's going to screw your life up.
That was absolutely one of the scariest things in my life, was the will of God, because there were so many. It was so easily interpreted in any way you wanted it to be interpreted.
Oh, totally.
You could interpret it all different kinds of ways. And so, like, whether it was your marriage, your ministry, whatever it was like, am I in the will of God? And there was a lot of pastors, to their credit, that would tell you, like, if you're doing the right thing, and if there is a will of God, if that is a thing, I feel like if you're doing what you feel is the right thing and you're not bringing harm to anyone, I don't
Absolutely.
think you can get any closer to it.
Yeah.
But there was so much mystique and so much scariness and so much fearfulness around it that, good Lord, you were scared to miss it. So scared to miss it, there's no way you're going to see it.
Yeah, and if you miss it, then your life
That's it,
is
your life's
screwed.
over. You might as
You're
well kill yourself.
Done.
Yeah.
And see, for me, once again, from my upbringing,
Yeah.
not being in fundamentalism,
Mhm.
dude, we moved around a ton. No, I wasn't a military brat. We moved a ton, right? And so I went to a ton of different churches.
Yeah.
The funny thing is every church I went to, the will of God was
It
different.
was different.
I literally, like, I knew I was going to Hiles-Anderson College since I was 12 years old.
Yep.
And I went to this church and I sat in this meeting with God. I mean,
Right,
the pastor,
right.
right?
Same shit, different
He's
day.
like, no, you have been planted in this local church. You can't leave. And I'm like, but dude, I was planted in a
The
ton of
last
other
one.
churches. So I went wrong a long time ago. I know you're talking to God and all. You got
That's-
the like phone call to heaven.
That's hilarious. Like,
But-
you were planted here. You guys planted 10 other times also.
No, dude, it's like, well, what about the church that got saved in when I was
Right,
5,
that's
right?
the-
And that
yeah.
guy was actually cool as hell.
Yeah,
And so anyway, that's when, like, when you have that diversity, you're
Yeah.
like, whoa, this is screwed up. Plus,
Yeah.
he would proselyte. All these other proselyte is recruiting other people
Right,
from other
right,
churches, right?
right.
So he would go speak on the road, and he'd always bring a new staff member with him. I'm
Oh
like,
my
wait, they were
God.
planted in that church. What makes you think you're God, right?
What's going on, bro?
But anyway, I know people are going to be pissed at me. I love it
Whatever.
because
It's
it's the
whatever.
truth, right?
Yep.
And
I think, just getting back to that a little bit, I just feel like if your vision of God, because I mean, okay, so let's go. I'm gonna, strangely for me, play what I would call devil's advocate, which in this case is actually the opposite of that.
do it.
But my thought is, if God is an angry God,
Yeah.
and he's just, he's mad about every sin you've ever committed, he's pissed that you nailed his son to the cross, he's mad about all that shit. If that's the case, and we're made in his image, we're all gonna be angry as fuck also.
Of course.
Like, really. Like,
Yeah, no,
think
you
about-
reap what you sow, right?
Yeah, but you look at it and you think about your IFB, not you specifically, but like you
'Cause
think
I'm
about
not IFB.
Yeah, no, I'm saying IFB friends or even family that you know, and you look at them and outwardly or in an exterior fashion, you're not seeing super angry people that are laying on their horn and pissed at traffic and all that, but like deep down, there's some deep-seated, legit anger at every other person that's not in the independent fundamental Baptist movement. And
Most
I'm
definitely.
speaking to them specifically, but I would say any fundamentalist movement that has a God that is angry, that's what
Right.
you're going to find. You're going to
Yeah,
find deep-seated anger because
It
they're
just reaps anger.
right. They're looking to please their God, who's very angry,
Yeah.
and they're going to take their anger out on you at some point in some fashion.
Of course, yeah. So a good example for that I just thought about
Mhm.
that we haven't talked about
Yeah.
is when I went to Hiles-Anderson, bus routes, like that's the elite ministry.
Yeah, for sure.
Of course, prided by the retards that have been there for 20 years. Oh, sorry. Can't say
Can't say retarded anymore. Look,
Oh
look.
my gosh.
What was it? Your idea has an extra cross.
Anyway, sorry.
Look at that guy.
I'm not saying I'm not.
No,
doing
we
it.
had to look.
Anyway.
Look, if you follow podcasting or stand-up comedy, and you know who Tom Segura is,
Yes.
that's what we're referencing. If you don't know who Tom Segura is, get your ass on Netflix and watch his special.
Perfect example.
Fucking hilarious.
Yes. Anyway.
How about if I get my bags, and then we come over here and we go to your house, and then when I come back, I'll pick you up, and then we'll come back over here.
Yeah, that's
He's
retarded. Anyway, so
All right, sorry, I'm too drunk to try that routine. It's not even mine.
no, that's all right. But it's good because what were we talking about? No, it was such a good point. And you fucked it up with Segura.
I told you.
Your love language for famous people. Fuck.
I love that you just said that. No, it's a good point. The fuck were we talking about? No, you're talking
Anyway.
about going to House Anderson. The bus ministry is the shit, and it's propagated by retarded people. Is what he said.
Yeah, so I
You're
was
not gonna get back
Oh,
to
yeah,
it.
yeah,
Oh,
no, I
you found
am.
it. Good work.
So it's totally the elite ministry, right?
Yes, it is.
So
Sailor ministry, everything else is like
then
chapels, but
I grew up in the public school like my
I
whole
tried
life.
it. I tried it, by the way. I tried to, and it's not any.
Awesome. Gotcha. So anyway, I grew up in the public school, and so So I was in the public school, you know, I went to what they would consider liberal churches, right? And then I go to Hyles Anderson. And then I'm rubbing shoulders with homeschool kids, which I love them, they're great, but they don't have a real perspective of the world. Like, they don't, they can't, right? And so here I am out on bus route, right, ministering to people, and they're sitting there preaching about what they're supposed to wear, how they're supposed to live, they're not supposed to sleep with their boyfriend, and I'm like, dude, are you effed
Fucking
up? Because,
nuts.
like, their mom is 15 when she had them, and that's in their culture.
Yeah.
And you're, like, basically telling them their mom doesn't matter and their life doesn't matter, right?
Yep.
I'm like, dude,
We're
I'm all
so-
about Jesus,
Yeah.
but introduce them to Jesus
Start
and let
there.
him do
Show
the
them
work,
the way.
because I believe, this is just my personal belief, is
Mm-hmm.
we're all on different journeys and we can all learn stuff
Fuck
from
yeah.
different people,
Yes.
but not in fundamentalism.
No, there's
I'm
no
listening to
open-mindedness
this
there.
guy
Yeah.
that's like, I don't want to say his name, but he might be a pilot's brother. But anyway, so he's kind of short. But he used to sit there and preach and rip to shreds
Yeah.
these kids that, dude, they were abused as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
They were around drugs when they were a kid. They were around alcohol. They had to struggle with things that person never had to struggle
Right,
with.
right.
And they're like, no, you got to live this way. Why? Because they were a robot that were told to live this
Exactly.
way. And even though they're supposed to be the light of the world, they're
Right.
like, no, we're going to kick prayer and all this stuff from the public school. Like, we're
Right.
not going to take a stand. We say the Holy Spirit lives inside of you,
Right.
but we're going to remove him from the public school and put him in a private school and seclude his ass, right?
Exactly.
So it's like, how do you do that?
Yeah, exactly.
How do you do that?
How do you limit that? Like,
I'm
how
like-
are, I like where I want to talk more about the schools and taking
Yeah,
it
yeah,
out of
no,
that
that's fine.
for sure. But my thought is like, how do you, not you, just anyone say like, I have a monopoly on God? Isn't he supposed to be this omnipresent, omniscient being? And I'm not saying he's
Totally.
not. I'm just saying like, if he really is all the things you want him to be, but he's just for you. Here's a good one. It's my God. My God. And that's all, and I get him. Now, if
Yeah.
you want him, you can have him too. But you have to have him the exact same way that I have him.
Right.
You got to do the 1, 2, 3, pray with me.
You
You've
know,
got to be in church.
1611 haircut,
1611.
KJV.
You
like,
got to
have
be in
to-
church 3 times a week.
Yep.
Guys, you can't be wearing shorts. Ladies, you gotta, if your slit's too long, you gotta pin that shit up. Like,
Right.
there's all these rules and regulations, and again, that comes from what? An angry God.
Exactly.
And
And here's a good subject about it. Let
Yeah.
me show you just how crazy it is out there, right? So, Jack Scott, I think, preached the message about my father's toolbox.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Polished chef. Mine is well polished.
Stop. We may have to edit this podcast. No, that shit's funny. So my father, he mentioned this to me the other day. I don't remember my father's toolbox. You're gonna have to refresh
No.
my
So
memory.
my father's toolbox, I remember, he's talking about what's in God's father's
figurative
toolbox,
yeah.
right? And his dad, who
Yeah.
Jack Scott was God at that point.
Yeah.
Which honestly, I just want to throw this out there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not so much upset with Jack Scott. Like, I know he messed up. He did jacked up shit.
Right.
But it's the system, guys. Like, you got to see the system because it's going to produce it. I do have a problem with Jack Scott because he didn't stand up and be a man and
Yep.
say, dude, this is jacked up, right?
Yep.
And so
Pun
I have a huge
intended.
problem
Yeah.
with that.
Mhm.
And dude, I'm not saying support
No.
people
I
that
know. I
victimize.
get it. I get it.
But it's the system, and that's what it does. So anyway, the father's toolbox. He's like, my
But
dad.
let me make an important distinction. Sorry, I want to hear what Chad was saying. This is not an argument. It's just
Yeah.
the system is he is absolutely a product of the system.
Of course,
But
and he owned it.
Exactly.
Like,
And what I'm hearing John say is like he's a product of the system, but John's not saying, you're not coming from it saying like, but it's not his fault. No, it's his fault.
No,
He made
it's his fault. I've done jacked up shit because of the system.
Right, exactly.
Like, dude,
I just want to make that
I'm in the
distinction
system.
because I know
Of
where you're
course.
at. I want to make it crystal
Dude.
fucking clear.
And if you say that I'm a pussyfoot and Baptist, whatever, that came from the pinko fag that's in jail, right? So anyway, that's in the sermon, so it's okay. I
you
borrowed
are
it.
100%
Like,
quoting him right now.
quotation. Who in the hell are you? You know what I mean?
That's pretty good. Do you remember that? Were you
John
there?
Rice,
for that?
I know. Scott, I know. Who the hell are you?
That's so great.
Motherfucker. Well, yep,
Were
you're
you-
right. The devil knows you. You're on
Yeah.
his list.
Were you there?
I was there. Yeah, I
Oh my
owned
God,
that
we
shit.
were both there.
Like hell?
That's
Like you
amazing.
just said
You
hell?
just said hell. And then do you remember there was a long pause after he did that? There was like a solid pause, and we were all just kind of like, Oh, we say that. We didn't know you were gonna say like from the goddamn.
But it was great because you know what? Since he said that, then we all started
we
swearing.
could all say hell.
It's like, dude.
After that day,
Night
everyone
bus.
wanted to know who in the hell you were.
Yeah. What was that division? Was it Division 2? Like, I don't remember. But there was one division that was totally effed up. But they would swear all the time. The guy's in prison
All the
too. But
divisions.
anyway, we don't want to talk about it
Yeah.
because he did some jacked up shit. But whatever. Sharing is caring, I guess.
Oh my
even if it's
fucking
boys. Sorry, Stu. Like,
That's great. Did
Anyway.
you have a point where you were on something? 'Cause I feel like you were, and I
I really
I
did have a
derailed
point.
you.
You jacked me up. I was like,
fucked it up.
Scott, I know. How else I know? Who in the hell are you?
That's really not bad, guys. If you go back and find the clip, it's not.
Oh,
he's
it's
not
good.
off.
But dude, do you remember the voice? And before
Oh,
us,
yeah.
I'm not
Oh,
sure
yeah.
if you know this, but before us, it was all about Hyle's cough. Like people used to
Oh,
mock
yeah.
his cough.
Well, you
to
know-
the point you can still listen to pastors that still have
Bro,
that fucking
bro,
cough.
there's
The bottle cap glasses.
Look, yeah, Alan Donnelly. I'll just say
Yeah,
his
yeah,
name.
Alan Donnelly.
He sounds exact. Bro, I watched. I saw like, dude.
But I'm a
that
Scotty,
guy,
so I'm like,
Yeah, yeah.
"Oh, I know.
dude, that guy. I watched a video of him preaching here, one city away, like a few months ago.
You watched this?
Still, yeah, I know. Still sounds just like Jack Hyles. Not just that. Do you remember like the tapestry style ties
Yes.
that he would wear?
Yes, the ones with the borders.
Yes,
Like
bro.
who wore that shit?
He's
I didn't.
still wearing them.
I was like so outdated.
Dude, you
it's
have
like grandma's
to stop.
tablecloth.
Dude, you have to stop. Jack has been
Paisley
dead for
is
a
where it's
long
at with
time.
pinstripes.
Yeah, fuck.
You
yeah.
can't mix.
Yeah.
For me, anyway. That's a side note.
Yeah,
Paisley.
it's a big
Paisley's where
upset.
it's at.
Yeah, no, Paisley's great. So
Rack back. That used to be the spot.
back rag.
Back
God,
rag.
Jesus
Rack back.
Christ.
Fuck.
I
Carl,
thought I was
my
drunk.
roommate.
This guy. Rack back.
Dude, I'm not
I have a
drunk.
back
It's
rack
just that I
tie.
don't know. Like, dude, I learned all this
Switch
stuff
the
while I was
words.
there. Dude, I didn't know. Like, I wasn't you. I
Might as
wasn't
well call
God's
us-
chosen.
You
I
might as
wasn't
well
a
call us
Jew.
man anchors. Shit.
Dude, I'll never forget Anchorman. That's how you know I'm sober.
I can't believe you remembered it.
Anyway, so
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
So yeah, that was a huge thing for me.
Yeah.
Like, here's these homeschool kids, and dude,
Well,
the
we're
thing is
we're
they
so
were
oblivious.
doing
Yeah.
what they thought was right.
Yes, we
right?
did.
And what was hard for me to sit there and watch is they were being taken advantage of.
Mhm.
Like, I have very good friends that were so sucked into it,
Yep.
and I feel like the bus ministry was more like the brainless ministry because they
Absolutely.
pumped it up as good.
Yep.
But like there was other
When you got
ministries
out
like the
the-
sailor ministries
Yeah,
and all
there
this stuff.
it was legit.
But
There were tactics.
two people
and-
would preach, and they would like bash
That's it.
these other. They're like, "Oh, you're a sissy. Like, don't date your girlfriend on Sundays and Saturdays." I'm like, "Fine, I won't."
Okay.
You call me sir. I'm gonna be a man. I'm gonna be divorced, but I'm a man.
I'm a man's man right
And
now.
dude, that's what's actually sad. Like that kind of affected my relationship. But anyway,
for sure it will.
so yeah, like that whole fear of God thing, and where it was at for me, like that was actually the changing point for me, is because I left Hiles Anderson College. I went to Harvest Baptist Church, which was a fascinating ministry in itself too. But anyway, so I went there. I totally made a mistake. I got my girlfriend, not even my girlfriend. Like
Yeah.
I got some girl pregnant,
Right.
and nothing against her at
Yep.
all. Like, I mean, I was kind of the driver in the seat. I'm like,
Right.
you know, I'm a dude. Like, I'm responsible. Like,
Mhm.
it has nothing to do with the opposite gender.
Right.
I made a decision, right? And so, and we came from different upbringings because she'd never been to church at all,
Gotcha.
right? And so she was just sold on the vision of this is a free ministry. You can go to college for free, right? Now, Hiles
really?
Anderson, it's like, dude, I was paying $8.60 a
Dude,
month.
we were, yeah.
I'll go to the free ministry because
Fuck yeah.
one of the things that was always really hard for me as a youngster. No.
Try that again.
Anyway, something that was always different for me.
Ankle biter. That's what we call them in Australia.
No, when I was younger was and even still now it's
It's
like
just the way you enunciate that. Youngster. Sorry, go ahead.
I was thinking of Sally there. Sorry, I had an
Crawl on my leg
epiphany.
and have a ball.
He was so jacked up.
He
and
was
funny as
fucked
hell.
up, dude.
Anyway, no, so what always bothered me is I always had a desire to like help people, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is it was taken advantage of completely, you know, and
You
so
will.
so
Especially
anyway,
that mindset you're gonna get taken advantage of.
yeah, totally, and so And once again, it's the system. It's what the system breeds. So here's my wife, or
Yep.
I didn't know she was my wife.
Yep.
I just slept with her, and
Right.
it's like, well,
Oh,
anyway.
now-
So I
now
slept
she's your
with
wife.
her. So now she's pregnant.
Right.
Now you have to marry her.
Yeah, no, don't you understand how it works?
Yeah, like I didn't know, but like I know that God's gonna once again out of fear,
Judge you,
He's
yeah.
gonna jack up my life.
Yeah.
Like this
You're
is my
fucked-
burden
you're
to bear
fucked
at this
now,
point,
yeah.
right? And so I really want to hit on this topic
Yeah.
because of the fact of my ex-wife, which is a fabulous mom. Like I don't have problems. We see things differently. That's fine. That's normal. But she came from a home that was completely different than mine.
Right.
And she didn't understand fundamentalism,
Right.
right? And so now she's into this. Now it's like, wait,
So
she's
she's
pregnant?
fully dragged in now.
Yeah, now she's
Wow.
pregnant. Now she's like,
You know,
I impregnated her into
Right.
fundamentalism.
yeah.
Like, this is jacked up.
Yep.
So now we have to get married because she's pregnant and her parents can't be there.
Let me. Sorry, go ahead.
She can't wear a white dress.
Right.
Like, she can't do anything. She's not pure. She's like crap. It's crazy.
I want to interject. Sorry, because I
Yeah,
feel
go
like I hope. I want people that are watching. My goal is to reach people, is to reach everyone, right? Like I want people to know that this shit, not just it's happened to you. It's
Right.
fucked up, but it's still happening to people.
Yeah,
this
every
isn't just
day.
this isn't just like an isolated instance. This is still happening, and if you don't have an IFB background, or if you don't have a cultish or religious background, I still want people to know like this is still happening. It's still crazy, and I want to kind of talk to a couple points that you said that some people might not understand. My goal is to
No,
reach as many
definitely.
people as I can with this. So if he's saying something and you're just like, wait, hold on, what the fuck? Back up. I'm with you right now. I'm gonna back it up, and we're gonna run through it a little bit. That was
Yeah,
good.
no.
That was the abbreviated version, but I want to kind of break it down a little bit. So, getting pregnant outside of wedlock, that goes back to I think I wasn't around in the 50s, but I feel like that goes back to the 50s kind of mindset. Like, look, you got pregnant, so you guys need to get married
Yeah.
real quick, okay? And so I'm not saying that doesn't still permeate our society in some places, especially back home in the Midwest kind of area. Like, I think that's still a thing, not just a religious or cultish thing. I think that is almost a Midwest kind of thing. So we took a little break. We're back, and I wanted to kind of speak to almost the process that John's talking about, which is getting pregnant out of wedlock, which is, I understand it's not just an IFB thing or fundamentalist or cult or even a religious thing, that it's a stigma or an issue or a problem. I do think that it is a cultural thing. It's
definitely.
permeated our society. It's not just us that have a problem with it,
Exactly.
or what we were. So I'm not trying to say like it's something specific to us, but it's something that is really like I would say culture doesn't think it's the best thing in the world, but in the subculture of the IFB and many cults, it's really kind of the end of the world. So
It is
you
the
need
end of
to
the world.
get married quick. And again,
So nobody knows, but they don't tell you that it's so nobody knows.
exactly.
But it kind of is, and it's
Well,
an awkward
here's the
deal.
thing. You think about so the marriage itself it's a quick marriage. You are not allowed to have a church wedding, so to speak.
No church wedding, no white dress.
no white dress, no church wedding, none of the things.
No
that
family.
Yeah, it's just you go to the pastor's office, you sign the certificate, he does the vows, and that's it. That's your whole
Yeah.
marriage. Look, I have my own thoughts and opinions on marriage. They don't belong in here right now, but your first and your marriage, that's especially for girls, like that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Like that's exciting.
Well, especially in IFB, honestly,
Yeah.
they pumped it up
Oh,
more than
yeah.
what it was supposed to do.
More than-
I don't know if you remember from when we were kids, but we literally went to a youth conference where it's like, so you think you're prepared to be married? And I remember, who's the youth pastor of First Baptist? He was youth
Ed,
pastor for years.
Mr. Ed.
Eddie Lupina.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to say that name?
You said it now.
So Edward Scissorhands.
Ed Norton. Go ahead. The narrator.
They went down and they broke down a wedding and it was like 20 grand
yeah.
that it was supposed
Yeah.
to be.
Mhm.
Dude, I just got
They
married.
built it up.
Epic wedding ever.
Yeah.
Like pool party. Like
whole
it was
bit.
fabulous time. Dude, we did not spend 20 grand.
Yeah.
But it was about elite status, but it was
Right.
all about the wedding.
But that's what I'm getting at is like ladies who have been in it or have never been in it, like you need to understand like that's fucked up. That's wrong for someone to say like, well, you acted however you want to put it. You acted on your urges. You did whatever you wanted to do. You had sex and you're gonna have a child. And so now, because of the natural course of being a human,
Yeah.
you're not allowed to have the wedding you always wanted. And look, I don't intend to be sexist by this at all, but I feel like in many cases the wedding day is for the bride. I'm not talking about my
it
wedding
totally is.
or anyone else's wedding. I'm just saying it's for her. And so now you've decided,
Totally devastated.
yeah, and now you've decided that because she got pregnant before she got married, she doesn't deserve that? No, that's bullshit.
Exactly.
Fuck that. So what the process that he's talking about, I just want to kind of run through that and just say, look, they did the normal human thing,
Yeah.
and they were going to have a child, but they weren't married yet. And so because the 1950s stigma has, what's the word I'm looking for? It has just permeated your lives
life, yeah.
so much, you've got to get married. It's an emergency. Really, it's an emergency wedding.
Yeah.
That's what you had.
And even on that note too, which of course my ex-wife had no clue of, right, is in IFB, like, women have one role, and that's to remain pure until you're married,
Okay.
right? And then once you're married, what do? They just have
It's
kids,
two
they
roles.
serve you.
Yeah,
like,
it's you make food and babies.
yeah, exactly.
That's it.
yeah.
You don't go get a job. You don't really even technically, even though they actually do rear the children, because hubby's gone all day serving Jesus.
Oh, yeah, of
You don't
course.
actually rear the children because he gets all the credit for it. You don't rear the children. You don't get a job. You don't. You're not there to do anything but support your husband's needs.
It needs, yeah.
And you're to make babies and food, and that is fucked up beyond all reason.
Oh, of course.
It's
But of
FUBAR.
course, in my ex-wife's life, so she was in an IFB church for about 3 months, right? So she didn't even know the end results. But I knew the end results, right? So now I'm like, well, dude, I can... This is what's crazy. Like, this is like... I haven't even talked to you about this. This is what's crazy.
Oh boy.
Like, no. Because, like, now I gotta marry this chick. She's pregnant. Dude, I filled that spot so easily. Like, I was just like, oh, I can love her. I can love anybody. Why? Because I was a machine.
Yep.
I was programmed. This is the will of God. This
Right.
is what you do. I'm not going to be
Right.
blessed if I don't.
Well, and I kind of I remember that that narrative of you get her pregnant before the wedding. So we talked about the will of God earlier. It's this mysterious, crazy, like hard to find thing, and
course.
man, if you find it, it's amazing. But if you
I
get
didn't
her,
have to stress over it.
right, isn't that
It's the will of God.
isn't that such
it's
a
a relief.
Isn't that such a strange construct, though?
Yeah.
Your whole life up until this point, it's been mysterious, and it has to be without sin and a pure kind of thing. And then suddenly you do one of the most impure things you can do in that religion, and she becomes the will of God for your life.
Yeah.
What? And I'm not saying anything against her, any woman at all. I'm just
No,
saying,
no.
what the fuck is that?
Exactly. And it's
That's
jacked up.
crazy.
You know what? It's interesting you bring up that subject because I remember in college, like, I was talking to my dad on the phone, and my dad's like, dude, you don't have to marry her. You don't have to do that stuff.
Yeah.
He wasn't disrespecting my ex-wife. He was just like, from a real logical perspective, he's like, you guys don't know each other.
you can
Like,
have
how are
a-
you gonna do
yeah.
this?
Yeah.
Right? Like, what are you gonna do? And I'm sitting there telling him, dude, I have the peace of God. Like, nobody's ever told me, right? But all of a sudden, my decision-making process got easy.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that until you were talking.
It's true, but I
was
I've
like,
had
dude,
that
the peace of God just happened, right? She has no idea what the
Right.
hell's going on.
right.
And now she's marrying fundamental John,
Yep.
Jack Scott Jr., like,
But I've
John,
had-
I know.
Stop. It's interesting to say, like, that whole process is suddenly that's the will of God. And the reason I remember that so vividly is because I had that conversation with myself many times when I was dating. And I thought, oh man,
It'd just be
what
easier.
if, yeah, no, not just it'd be
Oh.
easier. What if, yeah, no, what if I knocked her up?
Yeah.
Then it is so much easier because now suddenly that's the will of God and everything's okay. Like, again, I'm not saying that it's not okay to get pregnant before you're married. Do what you're gonna do, but the point that I want to make is, how can you tell me my whole life from an infant that the will of God is difficult to find and it's something
yeah,
that's
that's
very
really
intricate, and then all of a sudden,
We
by
know.
this act of quote unquote sinfulness, she suddenly becomes a will of God for your life.
Man, I should sin more. It would have been so easier.
So much easier.
Dude.
But again, just think about the paradox there.
No,
of
it's crazy.
Righteousness and godliness, and finally you found the will of God, like through all this hard work and dedication and staying pure and not having sex and not holding her hand
So much
until the
energy.
wedding, the day before the wedding, and,
Yeah.
and you did everything just right, and you found the will of God. Or you could just knock her up.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Tell me how that
And the
how
thing
that
is,
equates.
and even where I got in that position, right, was I thought I met the will of God. Like, You know, and so I was there, and then it got ripped off. It wasn't the will of God anymore. Break up, right? But I'm like, dude, I've been celibate my whole life.
Right.
Like, I gotta work this out now.
That's what she said.
I'm not kidding. Like, I'm just talking. I'm just being real
no,
right now.
100%.
And actually, it is sad because here is my ex-wife that was never in that scenario.
Wasn't exposed to that bullshit.
Fine, I can get angry, I can get upset, but we are on total different paradigms, right? Like, it was so bad. Like, I just want you guys to understand, like, how crazy this is in the first week of marriage, I end up in the emergency room because my wife has asthma and I don't know it and she's unconscious. They're asking me what her birthday is. I don't even know it. That's my wife. Right? Like, this is what you live for, supposedly.
Yeah.
And I don't even know.
Wow.
And then, dude, you want to go to counseling after that crap? And they're
of course.
John, you need to love your wife like Christ loves the church, right? Like, he was beaten
Gave
on,
himself for it.
He was spit on, he was all that crap. And I was like, dude, I thought Jesus died so we could have liberty. Like, I thought I was supposed to live life and more abundantly,
right?
Not like
get the shit
get
beat out of me.
Yeah, and it's not like that she was, but if you could understand,
get laid, not slain.
dude, if you're a girl out there and you don't know anything about church, like, you would think I was crazy.
Absolutely nuts. Dude.
And of course, that's a byproduct of it.
Yeah.
And so, once again, it's sad because it's like, once again, being on the Gentile side of things, I was trying to do everything I knew how because I didn't want these lightning bolts to rain down on me, right?
God is angry.
And I did feel that peace, right? But that was fake peace because it was like,
fabricated.
it was peace because I didn't have to make a decision.
Right.
I didn't have to worry.
It's
it
done.
was decided for
It's
me.
done. Yeah.
And the sad part is that my ex-wife actually had to live that, which I didn't even realize until now, right?
Yeah. It's tough.
So, yeah.
So I think I don't know what all we're going to get into at different points, but I feel like we are going to have John on the podcast again at some point. I'm not trying to cut you short.
Oh, dude, you're fine. This is so much.
But we've got into a lot of things tonight, and so I am going to wrap this up here in a little bit. But I want to thank you again for coming on. And man, like, such good stuff. So I think I've shared this before, or however these podcasts stack up. I know I've said this before because I've seen it on YouTube and I watch them back. We always write down. I always write down some subjects. Like, okay, here's what we're going to talk about. Three or four subjects. I don't know if we got to them all tonight.
We got to one and it was good.
We got
it was
to
hot.
one, right?
We didn't even conclude.
But what I love is when I have someone on that we can go and we can talk and things flow and our conversation is, at least to us, if it's enjoyable to you, great. But it was enjoyable to me and John. So I'm super grateful you guys tuned in. Super grateful you checked it out. And we went a lot of different directions. So I feel like if you're still watching after an hour and 30 minutes or so, then you probably have some kind of, or have previously had some kind of connection to the IFB. Right. So I want to take a couple minutes to talk to you and tell you whether you're currently connected or have previously been connected. John can speak to this better than me, but I don't know what I believe about God or if there is one. But if there is one, how is he going to be this angry motherfucker? I don't get that, and I never will. And I've had recently, and again, I don't know exactly when this podcast airs, but I've recently had people reach out to me to let me know either that they're still in the IFB or they're trying to transition out. And the one thing I want to get across to you guys is that it doesn't have to be the way that it is.
Yeah, no, totally.
And God's not, and again, like I said, if there is a God, and I know that kind of ruins my argument, I get it. But if there is one, he's not this angry guy.
Of course not.
Ready to fucking murk you. Like, that's not, I'm sorry, but that just doesn't work out. It doesn't work out. And so, man, I usually have more to say to wrap this up.
No, but I mean, too, like, the other thing, too, is, like, if you are a part of it, right, and you have questions, it's the system that's bad.
Yeah.
Like, dude,
it's not the people.
They sit there and tell you you reap what you sow.
Yeah.
But it's like, dude, if you keep sowing shit, like, reap
That's
something
reap.
differently,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like, come
Exactly.
on. Or sow something differently.
Right.
Sorry.
So, yeah, I get it.
Sorry.
But
you know, and that's the sad part. Like, everybody's on their own journey. everybody's where they're at, and it's perfect.
That's
where
what I wanted to say. Yeah,
they're
exactly.
perfect where they're at.
I love that's perfect.
You don't need to worry about where you're at. Like, dude, I'm telling you what, if I sent my son to go die for you, I'm not gonna make you jump through 1,000 hoops for it.
No.
Right? I'm not gonna sit there and strike you down with lightning.
Right.
I'm sorry if that's too logical for some of you guys that are trying to recruit people into your church by rules and regulations.
Sorry.
But it just doesn't make sense.
But
like,
I like what you said, John, about being on our journey, and I think I've encountered judgment. Clearly, if you're a friend of mine on Facebook, you've seen it. I've encountered judgment. And this isn't about me. This is about me bringing this information to you. But I've encountered judgment, and I've encountered all kinds of fun stuff on this journey.
Right.
But what John said is super important. We're all on our own journey, and we talked about it earlier. I remember this now. I'm glad you brought that back around because I want to talk about that.
Yeah.
And I'll be brief, but this is my opinion. This is my perspective. You have your opinion. You have your opinion. You have your perspective. You have your perspective. And it's beautiful. And I love that we can all be fucking different. And I don't know the quote, and I feel like it's partially from Neil deGrasse Tyson, but like, what makes us all the same is what makes us all different. And it's fucking amazing. And we're all on our own journey. Okay? Whether you believe in God, whether you think we're all stardust that's like hurtling through a rock in space, whatever you believe, you're still on a journey from birth to death. And your journey, this is again my opinion. I almost said my I don't know what I almost said.
Your podcast? This is your podcast.
This is my perspiration.
Anchorman, this is your anchor right now.
Fuck up. Oh, I was on a good one and now I ruined it with the middle finger. So
Truth is truth. Like, truth is truth.
Yes.
And you're going to find it if you search for it.
Exactly. And your journey is your journey. So this is my perspective, this is my opinion. You're on your journey. If you don't like where you're at on your journey, in my opinion, it's for one of two reasons. One, it's because really you're not where you need to be at. So you need to figure out what you need to do to get to the next thing.
Yeah.
Or you don't realize you're on a journey. If you're not happy with where you're, this is, again, there's other variables and other reasons, I'm sure.
Exactly.
But this is my idea. This is my opinion, okay? You're not where you need to be, so you need to figure out what you need to do to get where you want to be or where you're going to be happy. Or you just haven't come to the realization yet that this is a journey. This isn't an overnight thing. This is something where you got to feel out every fucking day. You don't know, look, heaven, hell, eternity, or the lack thereof, you don't know. What is it? I don't know who holds tomorrow. Like, you don't know.
No, of course.
You don't know about tomorrow. You don't know about tonight. You don't know, like, there's I won't say a name, and it's not anything to be mean, but, like, someone that we went to school with, one of their relatives. He's a pastor, and he, I love him. I think he's a great guy. And it's nothing, I'm not trying to get deep or say anything against him, but, like, I think him and his wife, I feel like they went to the gym or went for a walk or something. He went to take a shower. She laid down on the couch, and they weren't in the age where this happens. He came back, and she was just laying on the couch, and she was gone. She was gone. And I'm not trying to make this a crazy personal illustration or something. I'm just saying, like, we don't know. You don't know if you got tomorrow, and you sure as fuck don't have yesterday. We're recording this podcast right now. This is all I've got. This is it. I've got right now. Okay? So enjoy your journey in the moment. Man, do whatever you can to make yourself enjoy, like, here and now and the present, and just fucking be all in it. I love that.
Yeah, and you're an individual. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Is, like, the beauty of diversity, which, of course, a lot of people have a problem with because you think for yourself, is diversity. That's how we all learn. In the church setting, they talk about the body of Christ.
Right.
In IFB, you're not allowed to be a body.
No.
You all have to be the fucking legs driving the machine, right? You can't be different.
Yep.
And
It's
to
all
me
gotta be the
too,
same.
the other thing is if you have truth and it's really real to you, then you can talk to anybody about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, dude, I'm not defensive about it.
There's no inhibitions.
Who cares? Like,
yeah.
dude, I know what it is. It works for me. That's fine.
And I think in a lot
Own
of cases, if you have that, own it. And if you have that truth inside you, or you know what your truth is, you don't feel the need to every person you meet, you have to shove it down their throat.
No,
it's your
relationships,
truth.
dude.
You're happy with it, and you're fine with it. If someone wants to hear about it, you can volunteer that information. But you're not running about the city, knocking on doors, leaving gospel tracts on people's doors to let them know.
Yeah, and on that note, too, it's like, dude, Jesus had 12. If you're still wrapped up in it, Jesus had 12. That's it.
That was
He
the
didn't
whole-
have 25,000. I don't know where that 25,000 number
Was-
came from.
That was Jack. What was that quote?
Fuck.
Can you remember it? Was it John Lennon? It was something you told me the other day. Something about.
Oh,
like,
John Lennon. Yeah, John Lennon is one of the most scrutinized classic rock artists of this day.
Yeah.
And they say it's because he demeaned Jesus. He didn't demean Jesus. He's like, Jesus, I don't have a problem with. It's his disciples that I have a problem with, right? And that's the
so
deal.
good.
It's like,
It's
dude,
so
if you're a
perfect.
disciple of Jesus, then fine, follow his principles.
Right.
His principles are good.
Yeah.
It's you that's the problem.
You're fucked up.
Yeah.
All right.
Go
With-
and sin no more.
There you go. That is a perfect way to close this shit out. So that was the bit I wanted to say about being on your journey. I really wanted you to bring up that quote from John. John, I wanted you to bring
I
up
love
John's
John.
quote.
He was a bad father, but imagine it's epic.
There you go. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, as always, thank you guys for sticking around this whole time. Super, super grateful, as I said before, for each and every one of you. Feel free. I don't always respond to YouTube comments. We don't always, but definitely Facebook and find us anywhere. You know that if you have iTunes or Stitcher, we're on there as well. Again, thank you so much for checking out this episode of Not Your Mother's Podcast. We do a lot of work to make sure that this is something that you can enjoy and that you can appreciate. And if you don't enjoy it or you don't appreciate it,
I'll give you a hug.
John will give you a hug.
Yeah, I
and
will.
really, you
You got
should
a big
just
belly.
not
Get in my belly.
get in John's belly. You should just not subscribe if you don't like it. Anyways, I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Not Your Mother's Podcast.